Greg Gianforte joined local community members here in Gardner Friday afternoon. He heard from residents and business owners about their concerns, many fearful for their livelihoods as tourism is already taking a hit.
This stack of reservations represents the cancellations that we have received at our family-owned hotel since Monday.
Devastating flooding wiped out infrastructure and temporarily closed Yellowstone National Park. Now many Gardner residents worry this will also destroy their businesses.
Let me just say clearly, you've been through hell, and I'm here to listen.
Gianforte returned to the state Thursday night after a nearly week-long personal trip in Italy. Friday, he and Senator Steve Daines surveyed flood damage and received an incident command briefing from local officials. Work is already underway to repair roads and bridges and reopen the park, something this gateway community needs to survive.
Yellowstone is a lifeline for Gardner. If we don't get that road back open, these businesses will not survive.
While damage to the northern side of the park is severe, officials say the southern loop will likely reopen next week.
Yeah, that was Republican Montana Governor Greg Gianforte surveying the damage in the state in 2022 after devastating floods around Yellowstone National Park. What they mentioned in the story is that Greg missed the floods. As it turned out, he was missing for about 48 hours and no one even knew where he was. We finally found out when he posted a picture of himself and his wife, apparently, on Instagram in Italy. He was on vacation for a week in secret and was out of the state while the floods unraveled the state and made things just very hard for everybody. He got back to a lot of criticism and then he finally tried to make amends. Well, he doesn't like transparency, it turns out, and his time as governor has been marked by skyrocketing property taxes, public lands being sold off, schools being defunded, and extremist anti-choice laws and executive orders. After he bought his seat with his own billions of dollars, he's a multi-billionaire. But you know, he's got competition this cycle from an unusual angle. Former gun industry executive Ryan Busse, lifetime Montana citizen, is running as a Democrat, a hard-fighting Democrat, for governor this year. Ryan actually appeared on Democracy with FP Wellman before I even went on video, not just the MeidasTouch network. So we've known each other for a while, and I'm proud to say I know him and he's become a friend. I really wanted to get him here, get him in the hot seat to talk to you guys about his campaign and why it's a different kind of campaign and why it's winnable. So let's get on with it. Let's get Ryan on the hot seat. Ryan, man, it's so good to connect with you again. Thanks for taking time to see me. I know you're traveling your big, beautiful state. So taking time with us is really appreciated. Welcome to the MeidasTouch Network. Great to have you, man.
Hey, it's yeah, it's a big state. Yeah, I did this little campaign swing the other day. I want you to know, to just to where I was going at 644 miles one way, and I was still 100 miles from leaving my state. So I'm putting the miles on.
That's a big state, brother. So, you know, you got a tough race, like many heavily Republican states. I'm sure you're being dismissed out of hand by folks, you know, who know the state. You jumped into this race knowing how hard a mission you have ahead of you. Why do you think this is a winnable one, man? How are your chances?
Oh, look, beating an incumbent anywhere starts off as a hard task, right? But this is not your average incumbent. We can beat this guy. I really don't feel bad about it. I don't feel, yes, of course it's an uphill climb, but it's every election is, you know, against incumbent. This guy is not your average incumbent. I don't know, you know, for those of you who don't remember, this is the dude that punched a reporter. Okay. Yep. Everybody in Montana is tired of billionaires and people ruining their state. And this guy is a billionaire who flies around in his private jet and owns 4 mansions. There's all sorts of stuff. I have conservative Republicans calling, and I'm not a conservative Republican, newsflash. I have conservative Republicans calling me all the time. They can't stand this dude. So, I mean, you only have to be on the ground here for about 5 minutes and know this thing is totally winnable.
That's great. And that's the thing. That's how we all burst the national scene, right? Was it 2017? He was running for a special election for Congress and got in a fist fight and lied about it. I mean, that's who he is, kind of a prickly guy. And that goes into that, you know, I opened the show with that clip of him being in Italy vacation, you know, during floods, right? I mean, does that still resonate?
Oh yeah. I mean, come on, we're Montana. You vacation here. The governor of Montana, when we have this big disaster, he's got to go to Tuscany and he's there for a week and he doesn't return calls. I'm telling you, there is this vibrating anger in the populace. And it's not just, it is in Montana, certainly, but it's everywhere across the country. And the most popular people in the world are not the private jet class. Okay. I mean, I don't need a poll to tell me that.
Yep, that's it. On another topic, the fallout from Dobbs' decision has been resonating across the country. I've talked to every candidate about it. Alabama just had their fetal personhood ruling. We hear other states going to jump in this. I know that Gianforte, the Republican legislature, tried to push through some abortion limitations. What's happening in Montana on this topic?
It's white hot, man. It's white
Okay.
hot. So first of all, Gianforte is an absolute zealot on this. He
Wow.
has through all of his money, he has funded the most radical, crazy right. He has funded all these foundations that not only want to outlaw abortion, they want to outlaw birth control. They're openly outlawing IVF. He sponsored the personhood thing when he was in the House, HR 681. He was a co-sponsor of it with another 149 other Republicans. He signed 5 bills during the last session to restrict abortion and women's rights to choose. He signed Senate Bill 154 that promises to strip the right to privacy. We have a wonderful enumerated right to privacy in our Constitution. It was written in
Yeah.
1972. Senate Bill 154 promises to strip the right to privacy from our Constitution. So it's not just what he's done, it's what he's promised and he's going to do. And it is a of course, they're trying to now, hide under, change what they've said and hide under whatever papers they can generate. But he's on record 100 or 1,000 times over. They want to strip the right to privacy from women, and he wants to be in women's doctor's office with them. It's damn creepy.
It is very creepy. And, we know this is a big issue. I did a speech the other day, and I think with 73% of Americans support some form of choice for women. And so these extremists really are setting themselves apart, even in red places like your state, right?
It pulls off the hook here. In fact, that right, the right to choose, the right to abortion, it pulls higher than any single candidate in this state, right? That
Wow.
issue pulls higher, and yet he's totally on the wrong side of it. He's got no political skills to fix it. He's arrogant about it. And again, you only have to be on the ground here for about 5 minutes. We're going to win this thing, and choice is going to be one of the reasons why.
Yeah, I call that a supermajority issue, right? It's just not really, it goes beyond
Really does.
partisanship. Women are waking up every day, we're very aware of their rights and losing them.
And Fred, what's crazy is these radical Republican guys, they still think they're right, right? They're in a hole and they're saying, keep digging, give me another shovel. And I'm like, here you go. I'll go down to Ace Hardware and buy you a whole pack of them. I'll just keep giving you shovels. They're dumb enough to keep digging on it. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? The old art of war. When your enemy's making a mistake, let them keep making it.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Now you've got a weird situation. You're a Democrat, obviously, and you're running against a governor who's raising taxes.
There's
Explain
all
the
these
property tax thing. I mean, it's
there's
a big
all-
thing there right now, right?
There's all these reasons why this race is winnable, why it's not a typical incumbent race. All of the arrogance and the bad political decisions that we described already, that's part of it. But what puts a huge cherry on the top of this thing. So this governor and his supermajority, so he controls the whole House, that party
Yeah.
is his. They start off with this $2.8 billion surplus this last session, and they give it away to basically big corporations and bajillionaires and tax breaks. They blow a hole in the budget. They know a big property tax hike is coming, and they let it happen. And across the state of Montana, every single person on average got a 21% property tax hike. Every renter got a huge hike. And so I am a Democrat, and then worse, almost all the counties here sue the governor. They say, we are not doing that. We're not going to collect those taxes. They sue him. He takes it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court says, oh yeah, you are. And so I am running against a Republican governor who sued all the counties, and the commissioners hate this dude. He sued all the counties to force a tax increase. I'm a Democrat running against a guy who raised taxes on everybody. It's white hot. It's white hot.
Yeah, no, he launched a task force, I believe, but he's told them they can't have a sales tax. You can't have a sales tax. And I believe Montana is one only of 5 states in the country that doesn't have a sales tax. And your constitution allows it, I think, up to 4%. I mean, how do you run a state without money? I mean,
well, what they did is they completely unbalanced what was a stable tax system. They gave huge property tax breaks to these big corporations, pipeline companies, energy companies to companies that make $186 million a year. They gave all this money away. So we can run the state perfectly well, but you can't in a time where working people feel like, they feel like they're being strangled. They feel like the game's being rigged against them, and they don't have to look very far for proof. I mean, this dude gives away everything he can to corporations and billionaires, and then he cranks up taxes on everybody else. We can do it. We just got to rebalance that. It's the real deal politically. It's horrible for the state, but it's a real deal political issue, and we're going to exploit it.
Well, we like to say the Democrats are of the people, right? That's who we're fighting for, the working man and woman of America, the laborers, the union members. And you're right, when you give the money to the corporations, somebody's going to have to pay eventually. And it sounds like the people paying in Montana are average citizens and homeowners.
Yeah, they're pissed. And Fred, I think it's really important to me that, and I think I want to change the brand of Western Democrats, and we are doing that. I
Yeah,
think it's really important that our actions match our rhetoric. And let's be
yeah.
honest, for a long time, Democrats say we care. We say we care about choice. We say we care about tax fairness. But come on, do we really govern like it? Do we really fight like it? I don't think we've been fighting hard enough. And I think voters see that, and they take that as a disingenuous or dishonest sort of stance, right? That's why they say like Trump's honest, we're dishonest, and we're scratching our heads like, how's that possible? And I think what the voters really mean is, well, when Trump says he's going to light the whole place on fire, he'll do it. Um, and meanwhile, Democrats are like, well, I'm pro-choice, kind of. No, they expect if we say all this stuff is so critical, if we say this tax fairness is critical and choice and abortion is critical, then we should fight like it. Otherwise, we look dishonest. And believe me, nobody thinks that our campaign is dishonest. You're in one of these things for 5 minutes, you're damn sure we're going to do what we say we're going to do.
Well, and I've known you. I mean, you're for those who don't know you, I didn't really do an introduction. You're a gun industry executive before this for many years. You've also been one who really believes that while you do believe in the Second Amendment, you also believe that there's reasonable things we can be doing to make things better, and the gun industry's made life worse. You're not your typical Democrat by any stretch of the imagination, are you?
No, I worked in the firearms industry for 25 years and 4 days. Yeah, I was counting those last 4 days. Yeah, and I'm proud of being a gun owner. I'm a hunter. I believe in self-defense, all that stuff. But I lived inside of an industry where radicals took over something that didn't have to be radicalized. And then that same sort of NRA all or nothingism radicalized our country. That same sort of radicalism is trying, that's what Gianforte here is trying to take over our state with.
Yeah.
And decent, responsible people have to stand up and say no. And I'm a decent, responsible gun owner, and I'm not afraid to call out the bad actors. Like these armed jackwagons that walk up and down streets with loaded AR-15 scaring kids. I'll call, like nobody else in the gun industry, call them out. I'll call them out. Why? Because I care about doing what it takes to maintain all of our rights. Do we really think we're going to have a bunch of rights if these people get their bloody civil war they want? You really think you're going to march down to the attorney's office and say, gee, I'm in the middle of a civil war, but I'd like to file a complaint about my rights? Are you crazy?
Yep.
Come on, responsible people have to stand up and do the right thing, and I'll do that.
And you just announced that you've got a running mate. Obviously, it's not with the lieutenant governor that is a sort of you run as a team, right?
Yeah.
And you Ralph Gray Bill. I
Yeah,
mean,
his
I
name's
was looking at
Rafe.
his bio. Rafe, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Rafe's what an unusual bio. I mean, tell us a little bit about Rafe.
So Rafe grew up in Great Falls, Montana, product of Great Falls Public School, thundering herd of Great Falls, like thundering herd of bison. One of the best. Come on, it's one of the best
That's
mascots in the
pretty
country.
pretty good, yeah.
He then becomes a Rhodes Scholar. He goes to Columbia, Yale Law, obviously Oxford, and he could have done anything. He could be in any big shiny law building in this country, making those paychecks with all those zeros and all those commas on them. He didn't do that. He comes back here and he fights these as he starts private practice with his uncle. They've had this law practice for 104 years, a little town of Belt, Montana, and he goes to work fighting against the unconstitutional laws that Gianforte is trying to force on us. I say if my actions match my rhetoric, then I better pick the guy with the sharpest constitutional sword in the state, and it's this dude. He's 15-0 in Supreme Court challenges against this unconscious. He just won another one today against an abortion law today. Just won it today. 15-0. He's sharp as hell. Great, beautiful family. I'm thrilled to have him on board.
Wow. Again, it matches your style, right? And what you said earlier that, we do, and I say this a lot to candidates I work with, right? Is Democrats have to fight. The days of us, go low, go high, what all that stuff, we are in the fight for our country. You're in the fight for your state. And it sounds like, I know you well enough. Sounds like Rafe is another guy who's actually rolled his sleeves up, has been in the fight. And that's gotta make people excited to be a part of it all. How's the campaign going?
It's amazing. I launched September 14th, and I see your coaching all the time on Twitter, and you and I chat from time to time. I think your coaching is square on the money. Yeah, we're not running as apologetic Democrats. We're running as people who care about these values. We have somebody here who's trying to gut a public school system that's going to kill every small town in eastern Montana, and it's going to kill a bunch of opportunity. I graduated with 16 kids. I'm a ranch kid. That's not a blue or red thing, right? That's a decent thing. That's a constitutional responsibility thing. We're running on choice for women. I got news for you. A bunch of Republican women, they may not say it around the dinner table, but when they get in the privacy of the voting booth, they're going to vote with us. Like that's a 75% issue. Again, it's not a red or blue issue. It's a decency issue. And so, yes, we're running as proud Democrats, but we're running on all these value issues that people across the state, they identify with. Like, who wants to get the property taxes jacked up? I mean, it's not a Republican or a Democrat issue. And I started September 14th. I've driven almost 18,000 miles. I've held about 55, 56 events, I think. And everyone, I'm not kidding you, it's like an unbelievable rock concert to me. I mean, we go into these little bars, there'll be 150 people there, people standing on bar stools and clapping and cheering and rocking. It really feels like a movement. We really believe we're going to win this. It's going to be hard, but we're leaning in.
Oh, that's fantastic, Nick. Love to hear it. Love to see you in the fight. As again, I've been a fan for a long time. So final word, you're a politician, so I got to ask the big one. Where can people find you at work at the 30 Some Change?
All right. We'd love it. So just so everybody knows, we're running against a self-funding billionaire who flies his private jet around. When he gets tired, he gets bored on Tuesday afternoon, he just writes himself $1.5 million checks. That's what he did last time. We can win this thing. We got low limits. Our maximum contribution is $2,240. You can find us on Busse4Montana.com. That's Busse for Montana, all spelled out, .com. And we'd love to have you. We're on the socials and all that stuff too, but go there. And by the way, watch our launch video. It's been viewed over 1.5 million times. It went viral. And it's just kind of like a, average afternoon in the Busse family life. So you'll like it.
I enjoyed it when you put it up. Man, congratulations, Ryan. Good luck. Keep up the fight. I love your fire. Keep us posting how it goes.
All right. Thanks for doing what you're doing, Fred. Take care.
Thanks, bro. Talk to you soon. As you can see, like I said at the top, Ryan's not your typical candidate. He's not your typical Democrat. And really proud to know him. And it's going to be great to watch his campaign unfold as he's got a great partner there in Rafe Bill and what they're going to accomplish. This has been a great conversation. We'll be presenting a lot more of these as we go forward right here on the MeidasTouch Network. Hope you'll catch my show, On Democracy with FP Wellman, right here every Friday night at 11, new episodes, as well as more of these hot seat conversations. You can follow us on social media. I'm On Democracy Pod. I'm of course, at FP Wellman everywhere. Thanks for joining us. As you can see, we've got a fight ahead of us. Let's keep it up.